I'll stop there. According to the Bible. I'm not, I don't know if he did or not, but that's what it says. So contentment seems to be important, and one of the things, so far, to be quite honest with you, as I continue to age, I just keep getting older. It just keeps happening. It's like it doesn't reverse at any point that I've noticed so far. I have honestly not found a whole lot of things I really like about being old. But there are a couple. And one of them is, I don't worry so much about what you think of me anymore. I'm too old to care. And if you don't like me, one of us won't probably be along, won't be long until some of us are gone and it won't bother you anymore. So that's kind of nice. But on a serious note, how many years, for real, have you been unhappy with yourself? How many years have you not been happy with the condition of your life? How many years have you not been happy with your body? How many years have you not been happy with your family? How many years have you not been happy with your church, or your neighbor, or your job, or your boss? We spend a lot of time, actually, if you think about it, not being content. And if we're talking about wanting to grow, that's a good thing. We can be content and still want to grow. We can be content and still be eager to learn. Because not being content is actually not an eagerness to learn. It's not an eagerness to grow. It is a discontent, which means I'm not satisfied. And when we're discontent, really what we're saying is, this is not good enough for me, God. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to say that. I do say it sometimes, but I don't want to say it. So I want to read you some quotes from the Bible about contentment. And chances are that's not something you've looked up in the Bible. It's not in most concordances, you don't see a big thing, contentment, and a huge long list of Bible quotes, because it's not something we usually look up. But it does talk about it quite a bit. This is from Job 36:11. If they obey God, they will spend the rest of their years in contentment. So now we have a link. We have a causation thing here. So what leads to contentment is following the divine, being in harmony with that, being in alignment with it. This is from Proverbs 19:23. Reverence of the Lord leads to life, and then one rests content. So now we have this other thing. So far we have two indications, and both of them are we really paying attention to God or not? Because if you're not, it's really hard to be content. Okay, so I'm going to give you another couple from the Bible, just a couple more. This is from the New Testament. This is from Hebrews 13:15. Be content with what you have. Because, and here's another causative link, because God has promised, I will never leave you or forsake you. So now we're content, again, because we believe that God is going to be there for us. So we're content. And this is from a letter of Paul, and it's Philippians 4:12, and it says, this is Paul writing. As some of you know, just as an aside, I'm not a real big Paul fan, so the fact that I quote him, give him his due when he gets something right, so I'm trying to be fair. So this is, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content, whether I am hungry or well-fed, whether I have or have not. So I thought that was interesting. I'm going to give you one outside the Bible. As you may know, the founders of the Unity Movement, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, were very involved with studying what's called the Transcendentalists. It was a movement in the 1800s, mid-1800s, that involve people like Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Louisa May Alcott, people like that. And Emerson wrote this in an essay called Spiritual Laws. It's from 1841. And he said, the whole course of things is to teach us faith. All we need to do is listen. There is guidance for each of us, and by simple, lowly meaning humble in those days, humble listening, we shall hear the right words. But to hear it, you must place yourself in the middle of the stream of power that flows into you from beyond. Place yourself fully in the center of that flood, and without effort, you will be impelled to the truth, and you will find perfect contentment. So once again, we have a link here of, unless we're immersed in that divine flow, it's going to be hard to stay in a state of contentment. So those seem to be some clues, I think, to us. And I don't think even in this group, which is very spiritually oriented, where lots of groups in the world are not so spiritually oriented, even in this group, I don't think that's our first place. When I'm discontent, if I don't like the way my body feels, if I don't like the way my body's working, if I don't like the way my finances are, if I'm not happy with the way somebody's treating me, if I don't like the decisions the church is making, if whatever it is, if there are things I don't like, my first thought is, honestly, usually to fix what makes me discontent. It's rarely, oh, I need to take a moment and get better aligned with God first. But the truth is, I need to take a moment and get better aligned with God first. Maybe there's nothing I need to fix except me. And if there is something I need to fix, I'm going to do a lot better job of it if I'm aligned first before I start trying to do it. Makes sense, right? So, now I'm going to tell you something that is not in the Bible. Nobody in the Bible said this. No famous person has ever said this that I've read. Some very unfamous, not real bright guy who stands up here every once in a while said this. Just 2 days ago, actually, when I was writing this down. What if the commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself, was not the whole thing? What if that was only 2/3 of it, and they left the third part off? What if the commandment read like this? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, and love the life he has given you. Amen. What about that? Yeah. So, because you know what? It is possible to miss the blessings that we have. It is possible. You wouldn't think it would be, but it's possible to miss the blessings that we've been given. And instead think about the things we don't have, or the things we have been given that we don't particularly like, or that are difficult. So, I want you to think for just a moment, if you are not in that state of contentment, of satisfaction and providing abundantly, and being at peace and being aligned with the divine. If you're not in that state, I want you to think for a moment about what would it take for you to be in that state? And whatever it is that's troubling you, it might be something about your life, finances, relationships, it might be something about you. We get upset with ourselves fairly often. Oh man, I did that stupid thing again. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have said this. Oh, I should have said that. Oh, I'll be a blah. Or we have habits that we don't like, and we try to improve them, and they don't seem to respond very quickly to being improved, and so we're still suffering from these habits we don't like. And we get upset with ourselves. How important is the thing you're not happy with compared to God? How important is that really? Is it worth missing your relationship with the divine, and with the divine and everybody in your life? Is it worth missing that by fixating on the thing you don't like? If I wake up in my back, we did yard work yesterday. I really love my wife. Because I wouldn't have been doing yard work yesterday. And I woke up this morning and my back went, "You're too old for this." And it didn't feel real good. So I was focusing on my back hurts. I wasn't focusing on my respiration is working just great. My digestion is working fine. I can walk. I can talk. My eyesight is okay. I can hear things. It's a lovely day. The sun is out. I woke up with my wife right next to me. I had my dog who was poking me saying, "Get up, I need to pee." You know, I mean, it's all these wonderful blessings that we have that we don't think about. And I wasn't paying attention to any of that because one thing wasn't real good. Anytime there's something that's not working in your character or in your life, that might be 1% of something, but 99% of it's going great. Why don't we listen to that? So, I'm proposing that all of us, including me, take some time this week and be content with whatever situation we find ourselves in, whether it's to our liking or not. Be content with it. Because I'll tell you something that you may not think about very often. In this work, which I've done now for 52 years, I've been doing this for 52 years, I have sat with many people who were dying, many of them. I have been at the bedside of many people who died. And I've been with many of them shortly before they died, and not at the moment they died. And one of the things that I have observed is that if not before their death, at their death, their life became very precious to them. And it mattered. And what mattered about that life was not the money they had in the bank. I have never sat at a deathbed and had somebody say to me, "Boy, God, I wish I would have worked a lot more." Never once have I heard that. I have never heard anybody say, "Boy, I really regret spending all that time with people I loved." Never heard anybody say that. That when the day comes that we leave this world, there are things in it you're going to see were really, really divine gifts, and you missed it. And you're going to think, "Oh my God, wait. Just let me do one more. Well, give me one more chance. Give me one more day. I don't want to miss this." You have one more day. It's right now. That prayer has been answered. You can do it today. So, I want to tell you a few things. I like to be practical. And so I thought to myself, so maybe you don't do this, but I thought to myself about when I get distressed about things, and I'm trying to be real honest about all this with myself and trying to be with you too. When there are things that I'm really unhappy about the way they're going, and it doesn't matter. I can be unhappy about politics, I can be unhappy about the world, I can be unhappy about war, I can be unhappy about economy, all that stuff. I can be unhappy about my family or my neighbors or my job or the weather or my finances or my health or what can't I be unhappy about? You know, I can be unhappy about lots of things. And when I'm unhappy about something, if I look honestly, almost always there's something about me that I'm upset with first. Because when I'm okay, things aren't so bad. And I can deal with them better. But when I'm not all right, nothing's all right. It's kind of like the happy wife, happy life thing, which is also true. But you know, the person we've been married to from the time we took our first breath until our last is us. We've been with us longer than we've been with anybody. So our relationship with us is important. And if that's not okay, it's very hard to have anything okay around us. So when I get down on myself, maybe, again, I don't know if anybody does this, or maybe you're more advanced than I am, maybe you don't do this, but I have pretty high standards spiritually. And when I live up to them, I feel really good. And when I don't, which is fairly often, instead of going, oh, look, a lesson I need to learn. Thank you, God. Sometimes I manage that. But sometimes what I do is, oh man, one more thing I got to work on. Get out the list, you know. And it's like, oh, here's something from 4 years ago, and I still haven't gotten out, you know. So I tend to do that to myself. So practically speaking, if there are things that you don't feel good at, let me ask you this, just honestly. You don't even have to raise your hand. But have any of you ever felt not good enough in your life? Or somebody? Not good enough for something. Yeah, me too. So here's some things that are going to sound really simple, and you can do every single one of these. Every single one of these, you can do it, if you want to. And this is just a very brief idea. But if you do some of these, you will feel better. So here's one. Befriend someone that no one else will. Talk to somebody nobody talks to. I don't even mean they have to be a bad person or a scary person. I mean they're just an invisible person. They might come here all the time and nobody says boo to them. And they don't say anything. And they come to classes and they don't say anything. Go talk to them. You'd be surprised. Here's something else. Do something nice for somebody when it's not convenient for you. That's something you can do. Here's something. I added this yesterday. Plant a bush. Or a flower. Or a tree. We planted a few. Now, I have to tell you, I have an ally in this because I have a golden retriever. And my back no longer likes digging holes with shovels. It just doesn't like it. It's like, enough already. You know, you've done 1,000 holes in your lifetime. Stop digging holes. So, but my golden retriever would be happy to dig 1,000 more. And so literally, and I'm not kidding, if there's a spot we start digging and it's difficult or it's too deeper, than, you know, it's hard, we stop and we call Rafi over and we point to it and go, dig, he digs the hole. He would dig to China if we would let him. And he's really good at it. Yeah, bring him over. Yeah, call up. We can start renting out Rafi. That's a new income source. But we literally have a birch tree. It's one of those 3-trunked birch trees, very pretty. And a wild mulberry tree start growing up in the middle of it, out of nowhere, which it will choke out other stuff. So we didn't want the mulberry tree there. And by the time we noticed that it was a mulberry tree and not another branch of the birch, it was probably 10 or 12 feet tall. It was up there. It wasn't big around, but it was tall. And so we decided to get it out. So we're trying to dig in there around the birch roots and trying to get this out. And the root system of the mulberry was like thick and everywhere. And I'm like hacking at it, doing a shovel. And we're trying to, and I can't get it. I'm trying to get the shovel under it and pry it out, and I can't do that either. So Rafi comes over. This is a 12-foot tree. And I said, okay, dig. So he digs. And he digs around the root ball. And I still can't lift the tree out. So I said, Rafi, get that out of there. So he grabs the trunk, and about 10 minutes later, pulled the entire tree out of the ground. And then pranced around the yard with a 12-foot tree in his mouth sideways. Very proud of himself. He wanted to show all his neighbor dog friends. Look at the stick I got. So, yeah. Anyway. All right. I didn't have this in here, but play with an animal. here's something you can do. Be nice to an animal. Doesn't even have to be your pet. Just be nice to an animal somewhere. Here's another one. Be willing to listen to what somebody else cares about, even if you don't. Here's another one. Stop thinking about your failure, stop thinking about what you lack, and do one thing for one person to make their life better today. That's it. One thing, one person. Actually care about what somebody else is going through. Here's two more. Ask yourself in the morning sometime, if God were going to ask you to help him by doing one thing today, what would it be? Then do it. And at the end of the day, think of every single soul that has crossed your path, animal or human, every single soul you've encountered that day, every single one, before you go to bed, think of all of them and pray for each one of them. Each one of them. Because when we are disconnected from the flow of divine life, we are not content. Because we are part of that flow, and we are never at home, and we are never okay when we don't feel connected to it. So do things that help you remain aware of that connection, and stop doing things that help you forget. It's really that simple. The nice thing is we don't have to become spiritual. That's what we already are. You don't have to try to be light. You already are. You don't have to be something you're not. You have to stop pretending to be something other than what you are. So the spiritual life is actually not about achieving anything. It's not about acquiring anything. It is about becoming aware of what is. That's it. You don't have to figure out who Jesus was. He already knows who he is. Honest, he does. You don't need to figure that out. You don't need to figure out what you believe about him. Because if he matters to you, just start living the way he lived. If he doesn't matter to you, don't worry about it. Something else will matter to you. We spend so much time on our spiritual path trying to figure things out, trying to be something, trying to acquire something, trying to be wise, trying to be peaceful, trying to be patient, trying to be kind, trying to be better, trying to learn something, trying to figure out how God works, why the creation is the way it is. All that's real fun. I've done that for all my life. It's fun stuff. But that is not the spiritual life. That's the mental life. The spiritual life is experience the love that is as fully as you can every breath. That's the spiritual life. Really. And when you notice things getting in the way of that, stop doing them. And when you notice things that help you to remain aware of it, incorporate those into your daily life somewhere. St. Augustine wrote one time, "Our hearts will never find rest until they rest in you." That's contentment. And it's not difficult. The difficulty is everything other than that. So I had a teacher many, many years ago one time, and what he said to me, he said, I'll just tell you all three things. Only one relates, but I'm talking, so I get to say what I want. But he told me three things, so I'll tell you all three. The first one was, and he said, always remember these three things. The first one was, ego produces obstacles. That's been really helpful to me over the years as obstacles start piling up to something I'm trying to accomplish. The second thing is fear produces sickness. That's been really helpful to me over the years too. And the third one is love creates harmony. And when I said one time to him, sometimes it's really difficult to love. And he said, you're mistaken. It's always easy. What's difficult is to do anything else. So maybe in there somewhere, there's some ideas you can use that will help things. If you had a choice of spending your entire day, the rest of today, we'll make it practical, the rest of today, you leave here and you have to spend the rest of your whole day and evening with somebody, and that somebody is grumpy and crabby and complains about everything the entire time you're with them. And whatever you do for them, you fix them a meal, if you wash their car, whatever you do isn't good enough. It's not good enough. You didn't do it right. And you can spend the rest of your evening with that person. Or you can choose to spend the rest of your day and night with somebody who appreciates what's happening, is grateful for the home that you guys are in, is grateful for the meal you're eating, is grateful to be able to breathe and walk and talk, is grateful for being with you, is just pleasant and relaxed. Here's another way you don't get content, by the way, is trying to be and stressing really hard to be content. That's also not contentment. Relax. So if you can have this person who's relaxed and content and appreciative of what's going on, and you could choose one of those two people to spend the rest of this day with, which one would you probably choose? That's a dumb question, right? Well, I know who I would choose. So here's the deal. You're the person you're going to be with the rest of the day. What are you going to choose? We have something, is it still here? It's still here. It's here so often I don't even look at it anymore. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. How many times have you seen that, heard it, thought about it, contemplated it, been important to you? This is the key to contentment. Right there. That's the key. That's what I've tried to say in a roundabout way with lots of different things. That's it. Now I'm going to tell you another thing from Hebrew. In Hebrew it does not say, be still and know that I'm God. And it was written in Hebrew. It says, stop struggling and know that I am God. So all the struggle to make somebody else better, to make somebody else believe the right way like you do, to convince somebody to do what you want, to try to convince yourself that you're not terrible when you are terrible, or that you're not good when you are good. All the struggles that we have in our life. When you want a moment of contentment, just lay those down. Stop struggling. Just be. Relax into what Awanda calls the abiding spirit. It is abiding. It's always present. And if you've ever had a moment, whether meditation, prayer, or any other time in your life, if you've ever had a moment where you just kind of went, and you just relaxed into that, like you know God's holding you and you're just okay, if you've ever done that, you know you can do it. That's what this is. Stop the fight. Stop the fight. God is not fighting with you. And there's nothing you need to be victorious over. What you need to do is be aware of what you've been given. And if you're aware of it, you will be grateful. Because it's astonishing what you've been given. The God that created all of this, All of this is in you. And all you have to do is enjoy being with it. That's the work. That's it. It is not a matter of going anywhere. It's not a matter of accomplishing anything. It is a matter of simply waking up to the reality that love is real, it is omnipresent, and there is nothing that can stand in the way of it except your attention. That's it. So let's just take a moment of quiet together, if you would. And I'd just like you to take a nice breath at your own pace. And when you breathe out, just kind of relax your shoulders, relax your spine, just kind of relax. Whatever you may be dealing with. And I know we deal with things, but whatever is, in this moment, just imagine that God has decided to bestow upon you the blessings of being part of his kingdom, of being able to live in peace, of having health and abundance, of having connection with other souls and being able to love them, of having an opportunity to wake up to one more day, to do things you love with those you love, and to love the blessings that you've been given that day. And that all of the teachers who've gone before, Jesus, Buddha, St. Francis, you name them, all of the teachers who've ever gone before, all of the spiritual wisdom of the world, all of the things that the Spirit of God has brought forth into humanity, all of those things have come from one living Spirit. And that Spirit is speaking to you in your heart right now. It's the same one. So just silently, but to yourself inside, try saying this. Thank you for the gift of my life. May I use it well. And thank you for the gift of our opportunity gathering here together today to celebrate this life, to appreciate this life, and to help one another relax into the truth of being present in a spirit of love, wherever we are and whatever we're doing. Be content because God has promised you, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. And so it is.